Now, former Nigerian national team goalkeeper, we're talking about the Super Eagles now. Former Super Eagles goalkeeper Peter Rufai is dead. He passed on Thursday, the 3rd of July, 2025. But as much as Peter Rufai has been spoken about, how many people know or knew who Peter Rufai was? Yeah, for most of the younger generation, they will know Peter Rufai for what he did at the 1998 World Cup. It was a very bad World Cup. And let me give excuses for him. He had ended the season, he was holidaying when he was called on to join the team. Remember, that team started the race with Joseph Dosu, basically first choice keeper from the Olympic Games team. Then he had an accident the day Nigeria qualified for the World Cup and broke his back, and he was done with football. Then Emmanuel Babayaro, who was assisting him, lost form. Of course, we had Ike Shorumu and Abiodun Barua. Ike Shorumu injured his shoulder in a pre-World Cup friendly against, I think that was against Germany, and Ike Shorumu's World Cup was done. So it had to be Abiodun Barua. Then Abiodun Barua conceded 5 goals in the friendly game, and Nigerians felt, no, 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 no. This one can be our first choice keeper at the World Cup. So we looked. There was also Undubisebo there. There were other keepers there, but the coaches of the team felt it was best to go for Peter Rufai, who had signed up for the season and was holidaying. And that was how he got into the team. It was a horrible World Cup for him. But beyond that World Cup, there was 94 World Cup in USA. Nigeria got to the second round, where we lost to Italy. Peter Rufai's heroics, especially in that opening game against Bulgaria, kept Nigeria in the game. Yes, Nigeria won that game 3 goals to nothing, but would have easily considered an equalizer after the first goal. It was Peter Rufai's heroics that kept us in that game. Before the 94 World Cup, there was the AFCON in 94 a few months earlier that Nigeria won. And there were two key games that Rufai's, abilities were called to question, and he answered those questions perfectly. In the semi-final game against Cote d'Ivoire, it ended 2-2. Many times Peter Rufai was called to action. Many times was called to action. Yes, 2-2. We eventually won on penalty shootout and we're in the final. And won that final 2 goals to 1 against Zambia. And in the last 10 minutes, Nigeria was bombarded by the Zambians. Again, it was Peter Rufai's heroics that brought us into that game. But before then, before 94, Rufai had not played the game for the Eagles since the World Cup, since the 88 AFCON, which was like 5 years earlier. He only returned to the team in the final AFCON qualifier for US 94. That was a 6-0 win against Ethiopia. He was called in for that game, and he came back to be number one. Before then was in 88. Rufai was first choice at the AFCON. Nigeria got to the final and lost to Cameroon. We were not at the AFCON in 86. In 84, it was a mix between Peter Rufai and Patrick Okala, younger brother to Emmanuel Okala. Rufai first played for the Super Eagles in 1982, but did not go to the AFCON because we went with Best Ogedegbe and Peter Fregene, who was our first choice keeper at the Olympic Games in 1968. I'm taking you back in time. But sometime in the 70s, in Port Harcourt, there was this little boy who was a Form 3 student. Now, Form 3 back in the day is what you will call GSS 3 now. So he had just been signed by the local club, Sharks. Now imagine a GSS 3 student today signed by Remo Stars or Abia Warriors or Eimba or Kano Pillars or Shooting Stars, GSS 3. That was Peter Rufai in the 70s. He had just been signed by Sharks. He was a Form 3 student. And Sharks at that time had some other great goalkeepers, especially Raymond Kwakopom, the Ghanaian. But Rufai, as tiny as he was in Form 3, he was able to give a good showing at Sharks. Now, let me shock you. His name was not Peter Rufai. His name was Peter Jaja. I'm sure when you guys all hear Jaja, you're thinking of King Jaja of Opobo. That's the most popular Jaja you guys know. Yeah, Peter Rufai was a Jaja. He started as Peter Jaja from Port Harcourt. And Peter Jaja signed for Sharks, played for Sharks for a few years, then joined Stars, played for Stars, then moved to Cotonou to join Dragons of Benin. I remember one game that Dragons came to Lagos to play in the CAF Cup Winners' Cup. I think Cup Winners' Cup. It ended in the big fights. Rufai was in that game. He was in that game, yeah. He played for Dragons of Benin. So that's the story of Peter Rufai going backwards. Now, can you name Nigeria's top 5 goalkeepers ever without having Peter Rufai in that list? Different generations will give you different players. For me, I'll have Vincent Eyama at the top of the list. I will have Peter Rufai in number 2. I will have Emmanuel Okala in number 3. And I didn't watch this guy, but I heard so much about him. Inua Rigogo, the Cats. I have him in number 4, not because I watched him, but because I heard so much about him. And I will have Best Ogedegbe in number 5. I hope this short story of Peter Rufai helps your history and helps your memory of this great goalkeeper that passed on. Dodo Mayana, we called him. He was indeed a great goalkeeper.